Welcome to the LumiCast, your premier gateway to the universe of limitless photo editing. Dive into the galaxy of Luminar software and the dynamic world of AI photo editing. Join us weekly for a burst of creativity and the drive to transform your photos with confidence and skill. Broadcasting directly from Clever Photographer headquarters, it's time to welcome your hosts, Jakub and Holly Linton.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of LumiCast. Yes, we are back with more photography fun, talking about photography, photo editing and all fun things. Now, of course, in love with Luminar Neo, but moreover, today we're going to be talking about something else. First of all, my name is Jakub and next to me is my friend, amazing photographer and photography educator, Holly Linton. Hello Holly, how are you?
Hi Jakub, I'm doing fine. I've made a new title for myself now. I'm an educator.
How about that? You keep upgrading every new episode. All right, Holly, what are we going to be talking about today?
All right, today is a fun topic. We're talking about camera filters. And filters are one of those accessories that can be simple, technical, creative, confusing, or exciting all at the same time. So some of the filters can help us control light, some help remove reflections, some just protect your lenses, and then some offer special creative effects that you maybe could never achieve without them. So we're going to take a look. We have about 22 types of filters, whether they're practical filters, creative filters, specialty filters, and so on. So we don't necessarily say that you need to have all of them, but you know me and all those accessories. But I actually don't own a lot of these, but we'll go through that. We'll just go through all the ones that you could have in your toolkit and what they're used for. So
exciting.
Kind of alternate all 22 of those.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I have to say, when I was preparing for this episode, I was surprised on how many filters are there. I mean, I've been in photography for 15 years almost, and I knew half of them only. So that will be really exciting for our listeners as well as for us. Holly sort of mentioned already what the filters are. Now, one thing she missed, they can be cheap, but they can be also very expensive. They can be really, really expensive, but more about that a little bit later. So I thought before we're going to move on to the actual filters, we should talk about how the filter attach to your lens, or the attachment systems. So there are actually numbers now. Now, traditionally, back in the days, the way to attach a filter was basically just to screw it on front of your lens. That's probably the most traditional way. Now, there are some downfalls of that. One of them is that often when you're trying to attach it, you actually move your lens, you can move the zoom and focus, and it can get a little bit tricky there. Also, with some of the, let's say, more affordable lenses, eventually that sort of screw area can get a little bit used, and it's then difficult to attach them. So while they are perfectly fine, the screw-in filters, there are some additional options which makes it a little bit easier. The next one is magnetic filters. So ultimately, you only screw on that sort of bracket once. It's still circle, but you screw it once, and then you just use magnets to attach the different filter on top of them or front of them. The downfall of this is that you need to have a filters from the same company. So you need to, let's say, buy them from company like Hoya or maybe Case, because obviously different magnets and different sizes attach to each other only when they're compatible. But they are really fun to use, and you can very quickly move them in and out. Another option are the rectangular or even square filter holder systems. Now, it almost works the same way as your magnetic filters. You basically attach this sort of bracket on front of your lens, and then you just slide in and out your filters based on what you need. So probably everybody seen or heard about those. However, there are some really cool ones as well. Now, one of them is a rare lens filter. Honestly, I never seen this one before, but I've seen it on pictures now. What it does, you basically place a filter between the camera and lens. There is a little space, you can place it there, close your lens, and it will add the filter there. Another cool one is called drop-in filter system. So what you add is basically sort of little circle part. It almost looks like a mini lens, which you place between your camera and lens. So it's a little attachment. And then through this attachment, you slide in and out the different filters. So it's called drop-in filter system. And finally, one that I've seen before, and it's now really popular, especially for the mirrorless camera, it's called clip-in filters. And those are little filters that gets attached just in front of your sensor. You basically clip them in and they stay there. So regardless which one you want to use, the idea is still the same as Holly already mentioned. It's an accessory that you put around, in front, or behind your lens to basically, apply certain effect to the photos. Wow, Holly.
Yeah, wow. Well, you've really proved that there is always something to learn about photography. Like you've said, we've both been doing photography for 15 years or so. And just the fact that you've been made aware of all these filters that you've never heard of is just proof that we'll never, ever master everything. It's so exciting to me that there's always something to learn about. So everyone should do a little research about filters.
Absolutely. And it can make photography more fun again, isn't it? We often talk about the photography burnout, that we keep doing the same thing over and over. I almost think that some of these filters could actually add a little bit of fun to your photography, almost like your baby lens.
Yes.
Attachments and filters. That can be fun too. Okay, so, I'll start.
Okay.
And I'll start with probably the most common filter there is. And that's the simple ND filter, or neutral density filter. What it really is, it's a dark glass or dark filter that you put in front or behind your lens to trick the camera into thinking that it's darker outside. What you would use this for example, to slow down the shutter speed, to make your sky a little bit more stretchy and soft, to make the water soft, to slow down the movement in your camera, and so on. So again, it's used for long exposure photography to capture things like waterfalls, rivers, seascapes, out city movement, and even video work when you just want to adjust the exposure. Now, there is a variety of ND filters with different strengths. Probably the most commonly used one is ND 1000, but there are things like your ND 700, 600, 400, 300, 200, and so on. So there you have it. These are the ND filters. Holly, what about you? You next.
All right. The one on my list is the circular polarizer. And it usually looks like a normal, clear, or slightly tinted round filter, but the front of it rotates around. It reduces glare, removes reflections. It can deepen blue skies and make your colors look richer. And as you rotate the filter, it becomes stronger or weaker. You could use those for landscape photography, water, wet rocks, forests, glass, cars, architecture, or travel photography. And they're useful when you're shooting scenes that have reflections or shiny surfaces. So it's a kind of just dulling down any kind of shine or reflections on the water. That's what you would use a circular polarizer for. Some brands are Hoya, Tiffin, Case, or Nisi.
Well, then, if you talked about circular polarizer, I'm going to make it even more fun and say that there is also a linear polarizer. And honestly, I did a little research on what's the difference, and I haven't found completely solid answer to that. But what we know is that they are similar in appearance to the circular polarizers. But what they do, instead, they actually filter polarized light in a slightly different way. But they, again, help to reduce glare, control reflection, and increase contrast. But commonly, they are mostly used with mirrorless cameras for some reason, because they struggle with your normal older DSLRs. So they look very similar. If you already using them, you know why. And that's where I would leave it, because it can get complex very fast. With that, it brings us to Holly's next. Holly, what do you have?
My next one is the variable ND filter. So it's kind of similar to the regular ND filter, but which can just have no rotation to it. So this is almost slightly repetitive, but you're turning the ring, making the filter darker or lighter, just to know that there's a difference. You can get an ND filter with just one strength, or you can get one that is variable. So it's pretty much what I already said. They're useful when the light is changing quickly. So instead of having to swap out and change to a different neutral density filter, you have many options within that filter to use if the light is changing. So again, maybe use those if you're doing video, travel photography, portraits in bright light, and things like that. So they're more convenient to use because they have different strengths to them.
Absolutely. I actually usually have a combination of one normal ND filter, ND 1000, and I usually have one variable ND filter like this, because what I usually get is something between 200 and 700, and then I can just rotate it around. Why I like to do that is because you save lots of money with that. Rather than having 7 different filters, which we're talking like 300, 400 pounds easily, or dollars, you can just buy 2 and let's say spend 200. Now, the reason why some people don't like them is because they have It can have a little bit of tint in the result photo, and it takes a little bit of extra removing it. So some people have no problem using them, like me. Others prefer just the sort of straight-on ND filters with the set strength. But I really like them, and I think they can be really useful. Cool. So now that brings the point to me, and I'm going to talk about graduated filters. Now, some of the companies, we don't always mention them, but Lee Filters, Case, or Kokin as well, are some of the companies that offer them. Now, they are not commonly used anymore because you can do this now quite easily in post-processing. If you imagine the graduate mask, you kind of drag it from the top down. Usually it's used for sky, but other places as well, but usually it's used to darken the sky. You sort of do that now in post-processing quite easily. Quite recently, I saw photographers using them in landscape. And what it does, basically, it's a glass, which usually slides in this sort of shoe bracket. And as I say, it's dark on the top, normal at the bottom. And then in between the two different zones, it sort of gradually goes from the dark to the bright. Now, there are different sorts of graduation. It can be really fast, like just almost like a line between the dark and bright area, but it can be really gradual as well. So they can be lots of fun if you into that, and if you're one of those photographers who prefer to get most of it in camera. All right, Holly, number 6.
All right, 6. It's a fun one. Dream Soft Filters, specifically Maven Filters is the brand. When I was at Imaging USA, they had a booth. So I grabbed one of their filter booklets. And they have a lot of fun filters. So the Dream Soft, think of it like the Mystical tool or maybe some of the glow tools in Luminar Neo. It gives a sort of a diffusion around your subject. So it can soften highlights, add glow, create a dreamy atmosphere, and just kind of improve the skin tones overall. So you could use those kind of filters for portraits, weddings, style photography, things like that. Of course, I would still use them on flowers too. So
absolutely,
that's just a fun filter. And I think what you kind of pointed out with your last one is that you can create effects like this with your software, or you could just choose to do it with a filter. So it's really up to you.
Absolutely. Cool. No, that's a good one, definitely. Yeah, my next one should be having a spot in Star Wars movie. I feel like there should be Jedi called Star Walker, you know? Anyway, my filter is called Star Walker filter. It's also created from the company called Maven, as Holly already mentioned. And we are getting into the zone of filters I never heard about before, because this one, specifically for night photography, night sky photography, this one will make the stars brighter. I mean, how cool is that? So you put it there. Now, I really like star photography, but I struggle with this, that often you can't see them and it's sort of difficult. So the Star Walker filter will enhance the presence of stars in the sky, making the night images feel more dramatic and full of details. Well, clearly they use for Milky Way photos, night landscape, star fields, and creative astrography. So really, really cool filter. Now let me see, how much does it cost? Somewhere around $160, $200. So we're getting to the expensive ones as well. But if you are astrographer or night landscape photographer, you will appreciate this, I'm sure. Holly, how about you?
There's another great one by Maven Filters for astrophotography. It's called the Night Sky Filter. And I was also surprised at how many filters there are for astrophotography. I haven't embarked on that yet, but these look really cool. This, the Night Sky Filter is like a slightly tinted glass, and it's designed to reduce certain types of artificial light pollution. So you might have better success if you're shooting the stars, but there is some light pollution to use a filter like this. So it can help improve the contrast in the sky and can make stars and sky colors look cleaner. And so for astrophotography, Milky Way photography, night landscapes, or shooting even like cityscapes in the nighttime where there's a lot of glowing lights. So that seems pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Honestly, the result I've seen from this one is incredible. Amazing. Cool. Moving on. Staying on the path of the night photography, my next one is called Starry Focus Filter. Starry Focus Filter builds up on what I said earlier. First, I have a difficulty to see the stars, and then I have a difficulty to focus on them. So this actually helps you to do that, because when you put it on, the stars become a little bit sharper and easier to see, so you can easier focus on them. So they create visual focusing effect that makes it easier to check when the stars are sharp. Of course, you could guess they are used for astrophotography. And they are also really handy for Milky Way photography. And again, we are talking about the company called Maven Filters who produce them. So a really cool one. If I would be heading somewhere for lots of astrophotography, I would probably get both, or maybe all three even. Who knows? Holly, number 10. Halfway through almost.
We're still in the sky with the alpha filter by either Maven Filters, a company called Astronomic, or Optolong. So the H alpha filters are specialist astrophotography filters that isolate a very specific wavelength of red light emitted by hydrogen gas in space. Of course, you know, I have no idea what that means, but that's okay. They help reveal nebula, a detail that may not be visible in the normal photo. It can bring out glowing red nebula structures and deeper space detail. So all those astrophotographers out there will know what I'm talking about. They're used for deep sky astrophotography, nebula photography, and specialist night sky imaging. I'd love to see if anyone out there uses any filters like this, share your pictures because it sounds really interesting.
Absolutely. Can we also say that this number 10, the H alpha filter, is the most expensive on our list?
How much is that?
It's $2,000.
Oh my gosh.
$2,000. Wow. I mean, that's a lot of money for a filter. But when you say nebula, is it the Milky Way, ultimately, you think? Or
I want to say nebula is like gas.
Is it?
I don't know. You know what? We will be taking a commercial break so we can look that up. Get right back
and
to
we'll
you
come back to you.
If you're listening to the LumiCast podcast, then we share something in common. We love editing photos, and we love Luminar. It's almost breathtaking what this amazing tech can do for you. On our website, you'll find countless different things to help you be more creative than you ever thought imaginable. From our photo manipulation masterclass to our power bundle with 986 elements, our essential preset bundle, editing software and extensions to our tutorials. Harness the power at the website at www.cleverphotographer.com/Luminar. Again, that's cleverphotographer.com/Luminar. Now, back to LumiCast.
And we are back, and I have a good news. Holly was right, and she's very much ready to read us the official description of nebula. Holly, go for it.
So I'm glad I'm not as dumb as I think I am. A nebula is a giant glowing cloud of dust and gas, primarily hydrogen and helium in the interstellar space. So that's what that is.
Wow. Well done.
You didn't know.
I had no clue. I really lived under the impression that it's Milky Way. But that shows you that I will not be buying the filter then. So, yeah, good. Anyway, moving on to number 11, we're going to more of the traditionals and also creative filters, starting with the black and white color filters. So, black and white color filters actually come in different colors. You can get them in red, orange, yellow, green, and even other colors. Now, if we have the Luminar Neo users here, inside Luminar Neo, you get that sort of black and white tool. And inside black and white tool, you can adjust sliders. And you can adjust sliders specifically for these colors, red, orange, yellow, green. And you can make them brighter and darker. So these filters do exactly that. If you apply, let's say, orange, it will make certain colors a little bit darker or brighter and so on. For example, red and orange filters can darken blue sky and make clouds stand out. Yellow filter then can make more natural contrast boost. They can be really fun if you into black and white photography and capturing it in camera. So what they use for black and white landscapes, of course, portraits as well, street photography, architecture, dramatic sky, and film photography. They sound like fun, but I'm always a little bit on the edge with black and white photography in a way that you can always do it in a post-processing, you know? So yeah, it's just not my thing.
That was a question I was going to ask you. So you need to switch your camera into black and white mode specifically, and then you can never have the full color picture. So that's what I've always learned, is that you should just change it to black and white later. But I guess if there's a diehard black and white photographer, then who shoots like that, then I could see them using these.
Yep, yeah. Absolutely. I'm sure it's very creative. Number 12.
Okay, another genre I have yet to try, but it's on my list. Infrared filters. You can get those from Hoya Case or Kalari Vision brand. They usually look very dark or almost black or deep red. They block most visible light and allow infrared light to pass through. and they create surreal results. So I know some photographers who do this. So the leaves and grass can appear bright or white, or it almost looks like everything's frozen with ice type of look. The skies can become dark and colors can shift into false color effects depending on the camera and the filter that you use. For landscapes, I've seen this a lot. And just, having fun with photography or travel images, architecture, or even using it with black and white. So it just has a real kind of distinct look to it. Infrared,
absolutely.
yeah.
Cool. I think the infrared photography is still quite popular among some photographers out there. And there are ultimately 3 ways you can achieve it. A real way to do it is you actually have to take your camera and have it remade into infrared. They have to basically go in and adjust something in that tech, inside the actual camera. And the problem is quite often it's irreversible. You actually can't bring it back. So some photographers have a camera specifically for infrared photography. Then the next step, if you into doing it in camera, would be this filter, or ultimately you can create sort of similar effect in post-processing. But it always looked like lots of fun. I always wanted to try. But anyway, we need to get on because we still have a few to go.
Yeah.
Moving on mine, talking about partying, because mine is called the Show Glow filter. How about that? Show Glow filter is really cool. And actually, I have one of them because different companies call it differently. They can call mist and glow. And so Show Glow, ultimately, when you take a picture, creates a glow around highlights in your photo. And it looks incredible. The results look really, really cool. They soften the image. Yeah, as I say, add a glow and soften the skin and cinematic feel, and they can be lots of fun to use. The only downfall of it, from my experience, is that you cannot really control how much of that effect gets applied to your photos. So while sometimes it works, sometimes it's just too much, and you cannot do nothing about it once you are in post-processing. So that's probably my only downfall. What they use for? Well, portraits, definitely. Often for concerts or wedding photos, that can be lots of fun, but also night scenes, satellites, lifestyle shots, and videos. Holly, number 14, what do you have?
Okay, another fun one. The Star Arms filters. All right. There's a couple different brands. It has nothing to do with stars in the sky.
Oh.
It's stars like, think of the magic light tool in Luminar Neo, the starburst effect. So it creates those effects around bright light sources. So they'll spread points of light into star-shaped rays. So you could use this for street lights, candles, headlights, and make small bright highlights look more dramatic. So maybe night photography, anywhere where you're going to see some light. Christmas lights, concerts, maybe product photography, or even portraits if you have a small light source behind it. So I think that's pretty cool. I think maybe I'll have to buy that one.
Sounds good, right? You can do that, or you can put your f-stop higher. I guess that also works, when you bring it very high, creates similar effect. But I guess you can get this while having still low f-stop. So that's an advantage of having it,
Yeah.
Oh, well, cool.
Okay.
Star Arms. Well, I'm going for streak filters. Streak filters is mine, again, made by a number of different companies, and they create effect which is actually really popular currently. It's almost like the star, but it's sort of creates like that star glow only sideways. So streak filter create horizontal or vertical flare lines from bright light sources, similar to the lock on the anaphomatic cinematic lens. They usually look like clear glass with the fine lines or coating that creates that streak effect. I never seen it before, but I've seen some results and it looks super cool. Lots of photographers actually add this in post-processing using overlays or different techniques, but to do it in camera seems to be like a lot of fun. Of course, it's used for cinematic portraits, night city scenes, car photography, it's very popular, or motorbike as well, music video, concerts, and so on. So that's the streak filters.
I like these fun ones. All right, my next one is the kaleidoscope filter. I do have a couple of these. They repeat your pattern. So it's almost like patterned glass. It repeats parts of your scene in a circular or geometric way. And it's just a lot of fun when you're looking through your viewfinder to see what's happening before your eyes. So you can create a playful, fragmented effect. And I think I use it for flowers, of course, but you could really use it for anything. I've used it for landscapes, and you could use it for fashion or portraits, whatever you want. It's just puts a pattern all around it. And it's like a repeating pattern in a circular formation. I really like it.
Is it almost like the old toy? It look almost like a You know, like you turn it around and it creates
it was almost like a cardboard toy that you looked in.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's exactly like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very nostalgic as well. I'm sure people like that. Well, with my next one, it's not for lighthearted, right? I mean, we're going to get spooky because my next one is called Ghost Chaser or also Ghost Double Trouble Filter. How about that? Sounds super cool. And the effect looks even cooler. So the ghosting filter creates a duplicate or shifted version of the subject inside the image. They can make the subject appear like a reflection, echo, or double exposure effect, depending on the filter and angle. Now, the filter looks really cool as well. It's sort of having a funny shape going out of the lens. And it's just very, very cool. So what they use for, of course, portrait, fashion, music, photography, experimental images, Halloween-style concepts, and artistic storytelling. And just to say, next year we're doing a 90s workshop where there is a ghost bride in it. And I think I'm going to get this one and I'm going to try it for it, actually. I think that would be really, really cool. So, yeah, Ghost Chaser or Ghost Double Trouble Filter. Fun to me.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. We're going to go to a more basic one next is a diopter filter. So it's sort of like turning your lens into a macro filter. They're close-up lenses that screw or attach to the front of your camera lens. Or close-up filters, really. So they increase magnification. You can get maybe a +1, a +2, a +4, and so on. They usually come in a grouping, and you can stack them together. So if you add 4 + 2, I think that equals +6. You can
Makes sense.
I love using those for flowers. Even I have some lenses that you can get maybe 8 inches to. If you're not using your macro lens, maybe you have a lens that you can get 8 inches, but you wish you could get a little more. That's when you would use one of these types of, magnification filters. So for food photography, any details, and close-up work. So I do have a set of them. So
and you use them?
I do use them.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
Fun. Okay. Well, my next one isn't necessarily a filter. It's more sorts of attachment. And actually, it nicely works with the idea of the diopter filter or macro lens. And that's the mini ring light filter. Ultimately, what it is, it's an attachment which goes on front of your lens. Usually, it has a cable which goes into the battery pack, or it has a cable which goes into the camera, or it has a battery pack in it. And what it does when you're really close to a subject, like in the morning, maybe to a butterfly or bee or insect, it illuminates the front of the lens and it illuminates the subject. So I actually have one of them. I don't have a macro lens, but I have the light, funny enough, because I got it in some sort of competition, I think. So I still have it. And I wish for my birthday this year a macro lens. So if I get the macro lens, I will finally be able to use this light as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. So as you guessed, it's used for close-up photography, macro, portraits, beauty work, product photography, and other similar topics.
Great.
Number 20.
I want one of those. Number 20 is a splash guard filters for all of those, well, what would you call them? Ocean photographers, water photographers, or you're going to be maybe a wave will splash upon your equipment where you have to be careful. So they're protective filters to shield the front of your lens from water, dust, and environmental elements. You don't want like a big wave coming and a shark to land on your camera.
Absolutely.
It might not work that well. But so you're not changing the image with it. You're really just protecting your equipment. So I could see this might be necessary for somebody who is shooting at the beach and in that, or waterfalls, that kind of environment where there's a real risk. Of course, if your camera falls into the water, like your tripod tips over, it's not going to help. But for splash purposes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Actually, next week we're going to the south of France, and part of it we're going to see the horses, running towards you on the beach. And I think this is absolutely perfect filter for that, because it does happen that the water splash around. And honestly, with today's lenses, it's not the end of the world if it's few drops, it will survive, but it just takes extra time to clean it and so on. So if you really want to be 100% sure, the splash guard filter is great, especially for seawater, because seawater creates sorts of, like a smear
residue,
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So it can be a bit tricky to remove. This is much faster to do that. Now, my filter, number 21, is pretty much used the same way now. Almost as a guard filter too, because in past, the UV filter was used to reduce the ultraviolet haze. You basically would screw it on front of the lens, and that's what it would do. However, most of the modern cameras, digital cameras, have already built this in, so they are sort of useless in this way. However, as I mentioned, many photographers I know around me use this specific filter, the UV filter, as a protection for the lens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one suggestion out there is, with the splash guard as well as the UV filter, buy something at least half decent, because I'm always surprised when somebody buy lens for $2,500, $3,000 and then they put the glass which costs $5 in front of it, And of course, it's affecting the result. Absolutely, it does, because it's another barrier between the subject. Buy yourself something decent. Anyway, the UV filters are not expensive, but don't go like a super cheap, because I just think it's a shame. If you're going to put something at least half decent to make sure that you get the best possible result. That was 21, Holly. You're going to end up the list with what?
I will, with something fun. I'll say, don't get your UV filter at Dollar Tree. Okay. The final one, we'll save the best for last, is the Lensbaby Omni filter system, which I love, which we've described before, but I'll say it again. It's a creative filter system that you screw onto your lens, and then it has magnets. You can add these magnetic wands to it, and the wands have crystals of all different cuts. There are films and different textured wands and all sorts of things that you can use that create light flares and texture and blur and streaks and ghosting and beams of light, bokeh and all that stuff. So they're a lot of fun to use. So any type of photography you can use the Omni Wand filter system with, and you do use them with your own lenses. You don't even need a Lensbaby to use it. So I love those a lot. So, and I know that's it for our list, but I have something that's coming to my mind that I've learned, having used some filters in the last couple of years, is that you want to be able to use these filters on a majority of your lenses. So you should buy the filter for your largest filter thread and then use a step-down ring to be able to use them on other lenses. I've made that mistake where I'd bought one that was a smaller, and then it's hard. You can't use it on the bigger one because you're not going to get the full benefit of it. So that's a good tip, I think.
Absolutely.
So, but what else do you have to say? Anything?
I have nothing else to say. I mean, we covered so much. And this was a great tip, actually. Lots of photographers do that. Yeah, they buy the biggest filter out of all the lenses they have, and then they basically use this sort of attachment to add it after. I also know photographers who just hold it in front of the lens, so they have one really big one and they just hold it in front, take the picture, and they go. Not the greatest practice, especially if you're going for a really long exposure, because it can move. You never really 100% steady, but it's also a way to do it. So yeah, well done. Well, that was lots of fun. I mean, ultimately what we confirm is that there is more than just ND filters and UV filters. There can be lots of fun to be done with photography, even in camera. Not everything has to be done in post-processing. So if you are struggling, maybe finding a reason to go out there, try new things, I think the filters can be a really handy and inspiring thing to try. Especially when I'm sitting next to Holly, who is like baby lens pro lover, and she has so many different creative lenses, which is really, really cool. All right, Holly, anything else to add on this one?
Yeah, so if you're in a rut or you need a little inspiration, definitely just try a filter. Just make that your mission for the shoot, that you're just going to use it and see what you can create. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, folks, we will now take a few weeks off. We are working on multiple different things and thought that for the summer, for the next 8 weeks, we're going to take a short break. However, don't you worry, we'll be back. We already have the date. Our next episode will be back on 4th of September. So we're going to take a little break. We're going to prepare lots of exciting topics, and we're going to cover lots of things, and we will be back again on 4th of September. So thank you very much. Have a great summer. Take care. Keep shooting. Keep editing. And we will speak to you soon. Holly, thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. Now, there's only 3 things left to do. Subscribe to this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Visit our website at cleverphotographer.com/LumiCast to see what we have in store next. And stay creative and keep editing your photos no matter what anyone says.